so glad you joined us to study here for the Unit 1A test in Intermediate Algebra. I'm going to go through this review. Hope it helps you. Rewind it, watch it again if you need to, or fast forward to the problems that you need the most help with. And don't forget to always ask me, and hopefully you use this all year as a resource. Number one, if someone asked you to explain what an integer was, what would you say? Well, I would say, wow, that's a very interesting question. I can't believe you're asking me about math. Let me answer it. All right, so an integer, all right? Well, an integer are the numbers that we use quite often when answering questions. You know, how many hours of sleep did you get? 8. You know, that's an integer. But also it includes negative numbers. So no decimals and no fractions, basically. So if I were to give you the integers, I would probably tell them it's all these numbers like -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on forever that way, and then so on forever this way. All right, basically up by 1, down by 1. It's the whole numbers and their opposites, another way to say it. So I just gave you some examples of integers there. So 4, 12, -2, 0 is obviously 1. Non-integers, 1.1. 3/5, which is really a decimal, anything that's not one of those sets. So I think you get the idea there. I just really want you to know what integers are all year. What is the difference between an algebraic expression and an algebraic equation? Well, an equation will have an equal sign, and an algebraic expression will not have an equal sign. Okay, so that's the big difference between those two. An algebraic equation will solve. So what type of math problem would you solve? I'm solving an algebraic equation. Which one would I simplify? An algebraic expression. And we'll talk through those, the rest of this. What is a variable? That's basically just a letter. But it's not just a letter. It's a letter that represents a number. Okay, so the deal is, if you get $5 an hour, $5 an hour could be expressed as 5x. Well, wait, I make $5 an hour times however many hours I work. So right here, x represents the number of hours that you work. Okay, and you could actually take it the next step and be like, well, y equals this. Well, the amount of money you're gonna make here is equal to 5 times x, where x is the number of hours you work. But you guys know that a letter represents a number. That represents a number. All right, what is the difference between these two? We've been struggling with this in class, big time. The big deal is, and I'm going to start with this one. This one literally says you need to take -4 times -4. Well, the answer to that is +16. Okay, this one does not say that. It might help you to write it like this: -1 times 4 times 4, because it's saying you need to take 4 squared, and that's what it says, and then take the opposite of that, which is negative. So this one's actually going to come out to -16. So be very careful with those. Be very careful putting them into your calculator, but we can handle those. Okay, now evaluate. Another way, you know, simplify or evaluate, but an expression, no equal sign. So we're going to use our order of operations here. Okay, that's the big task on this one, is am I expressing or able to evaluate expressions using the order of operations? So to slow down with you a little bit, expressions, order of operations. We're going to evaluate expressions in the correct order. So I want all of this learning target to make sense to you. So the first thing I'm going to do is look inside parentheses. Hopefully you are well aware that I mean PEMDAS when we say order of operations. So are there parentheses? Absolutely. So we're going to go inside this first parenthesis, and it actually is a -2. And that's all I'm going to do right now. 2 minus 4 is -2. I can't deal with subtraction right now. I can't deal with this multiplication, but I can go inside the parentheses. Well, 2 squared is just a 4 minus 1. We're just going to make that a 3, working inside the parentheses first. The next thing we would do is do the exponents. So now I have a +4. As discussed before, -2 times -2 is actually a +4. Minus, and we have to do this multiplication before we do that subtraction. So that'll be 4 minus 15. Finally, we're left with 4 minus 15, which is -11. And just as a review, that's an integer answer. All right, next one here, we're going to work again inside parentheses. So I'm going to have 100 minus And then in parentheses there, I'm actually just going to slow down and make it 9 minus 1 quantity squared. Just making that 3 squared a 9. And I'm going to do the same on the bottom. I'm going to make that a 4 plus 1. So just so we're all clear, what order am I doing here? I'm working inside the parentheses, but slowly. And the top problem and the bottom problem, the numerator and the denominator, you got to try to simplify them as far as you can go separate from each other, then put them together. So on the bottom right now, like I can see that that's 5. But I don't want to like cancel the 100 and the 4 yet. I want to go as far as I can go. And on the top we have 100 minus, well this is 9 minus 1 squared. So that's actually going to be in parentheses 8 squared. Okay, well what does that become? Well it's a minus 8 squared. So that's 100 minus 8 squared, which is 64 all over 5. And I want to keep going on the top. I'm running out of room here on the sheet, but that would be 36 over 5. And that does not simplify at all there. So I'm actually just going to call that my final answer, and that is not an integer answer. Okay? All right, looking on to the next learning target here. I've got just some more problems where we're practicing our order of operations. So I'm going to handle, right off the bat on this one, I'm going to handle that. That's all I'm going to do in the first step. So I'm going to say, okay, bracket here, 16 minus 2, just keeping that all there. And then I have a 3 minus, and then in parentheses, 3 squared. Close off the parentheses, close off the bracket. So keep working on the inside here. 16 minus 2 times 3 minus, well now I can do the 3 squared. That's a positive 3 squared, so that's just a 9, parenthesis, bracket. Still working inside there. 16 minus 2. Don't make that 14. You got to keep going with this inside. So then I have a negative 6. 3 minus 9 is a negative 6. And now what's the next operation? You need to be aware that there's multiplication right where I just put that red dot. Okay? So actually the next step we have to do is take care of that multiplication. So that's going to become bracket, still 16 minus, but now we have 2 times negative 6, so that would give you a negative 12. And I can drop the parentheses at that point. This is just a subtraction, and we took care of that multiplication. And then you guys hopefully know that this is a minus and negative is really a positive, so I can finally get my final answer of 28 there. Slow down, rewind this video, watch that problem as many times as that makes sense to you. Okay, on this one here, we're going to do 12 minus, again, don't do 12 minus 2 yet. 12 minus 2 times 7 minus 1. So if you look through this problem right now, what do we have? We've got ourselves subtraction, multiplication, and subtraction. Well, multiplication comes first in our order of operations here. So we're going to do 12, still minus, but now 14 minus 1. And now all we have is subtraction. There's multiple subtractions, so you just go left to right. So 12 minus 14 is actually negative 2, minus 1 gives me all the way to a final answer here of negative 3. 13 and 14, just take a look at those. Take your best guess right now of what those problems would be. And hopefully you're starting to get the hang that this one is negative 49, but this one is a positive 49. And we'll keep working with that. See, look at number 15. The opposite of 2 squared. Not negative 2 squared. It's not in parentheses, so that's actually negative 4. And then we have plus 12, minus 2, plus 4. And now we have addition and subtraction left to right. So I'll take it slow. Negative 4 plus 12, left to right, becomes 8 minus 2 plus 4. 8 minus 2 is 6 plus 4. 6 plus 4 is 10, and that would be the correct answer to that one. All right, number 16. Going through, I'm like, wait, no parentheses, no exponents. Woohoo! I'm happy. Wait, addition, multiplication, subtraction, division. So we do multiplication and division first, left to right. So this is going to be 10 plus, and we're going to do that multiplication, 8, minus, don't do that yet, but we do the division, left to right. So we have 10 plus 8 minus 4. And then we have 18 minus 4. So that's how we're getting to the number 14. Okay, order of operations is going to be very important this year when we're solving and evaluating. All right, so in the inside here, hopefully you can see, I've given a lot of problems. I'm trying to get you not to do this first that I'm pointing at right now. Make sure you wait on that. So then we have 4 plus 11 minus 3 is just 8 inside there. So now I have 5 plus 2, but in parentheses there I have 12. And then again, multiplication before addition. So I have 5 plus 24, and I'm getting all the way down to 29 there. All right, one more of these. In the inside, again, 3 minus 1, just stay. But in the inside, we have 2 minus 3, that's a negative 1, squared minus 12. So all I did was 2 minus 3. And now I got to realize, keeping everything the same, that negative 1 squared is a positive 1, minus 12. Remember, in the parentheses, if a negative is in the parentheses squared, it's a positive 1. So now I keep working on the inside. 3 minus 1 times, well, that's going to be a negative 11 inside. And then, well, what's this now? This is still 3 minus, but now we do 1 times negative 11. Well, that's just a negative, negative 11 there. So we make this addition. 3 plus 11 is really going to be 14. Okay, I'm going to stop this video here because it's getting too long, and I'm going to pick up on another video to finish it off. I hope this is helping.